Welcome once more to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch my videos, which hopefully you do find informative, and hopefully you will consider purchasing the book that I'm about to review for you. And if you like old comics, you will love Weird Fantasy, the EC Archives. This is published by Dark Horse Books and it retails for $25.99. Dark Horse has done an amazing job of reprinting the old EC titles from the 40s and the 50s. It is a joy to look at these old reprints of comics, done well. Actually, before I was born in '54, and these were from the early '50s. So this issue reproduces from the Weird Fantasy comic series, issues 6 and 13 to 17. People know that EC Comics was very controversial for its very graphic horror comics that they put out. There was a huge uproar, and a psychologist said it will warp children's minds, damage them, turn them into juvenile delinquents. Congress got in on it, and it was quite a big to do. So EC Comics was really forced to get rid of their horror series and create what we would consider tamer publications. Weird Fantasy is a tame publication. It is basically a futuristic stories of science fiction and what if, looking at the world into the future. And as I said, 6 different issues are profiled here. These are the 6. You can see the 6 covers there of them. And I think there's a total of like 24 stories total from the 6 issues. And they are a joy. Now, there are a lot of standouts in this book. One of the ones is, Am I Man or Machine? A man died, he was hit by a car, but his brain was taken out and preserved, I guess in formaldehyde or whatever, and then it was put inside a robot, and the man went back to his former wife. Now, he didn't look like what he did before, but he had the man's brain. He could, talk to the wife about anything they said and did before. And she was shocked, of course, but then she realized that he was just cold steel. He was a robot, and he realized this too, that you can never go back, and so he sadly left her. Another interesting story was Second Childhood, where this man, he worked for a scientist, and he wanted to have the pleasure of staying young forever. So he injected himself with his serum, and he thought it worked. He got up one morning and his wrinkles were gone and his gray hair was gone, and he thought, it's my second childhood. I can be young forever. Well, as time progressed, when he looked in the mirror, he was getting younger and younger and younger, and soon he was down to a little boy, and then he was a baby, where the woman, his wife, held him there in her arms, and he was like he was born again. So be careful for what you wish for. And one more story that I wanted to draw to your attention. It is the Time Machine versus the Schmo. They called this guy a schmo because he always was bothering people, and when he heard about this time machine, he wanted to go back in time, and they said, "You're a schmo, go away." And so one night he went in and he got into the time machine, and he went back to King Arthur's court, and he thought that's a great place to be. So he showed them a gun, which they'd never seen a gun before. He also took a radio for to play for them, but it couldn't play because radio hadn't been invented back in King Arthur's court. So he thought, well, I don't want to stay here. So he goes back to his time machine and he gets ready to plug it in so he can, leave and go back to the present. Well, guess what? Electricity hadn't been invented, so he was stuck in King Arthur's court forever. So they're fun stories. They really are. And if you like, great futuristic fiction, and a lot of these stories are most interesting because they look at the future with an eye on 1950. So there's a lot of futuristic things where they talk about going to the moon and things like that, things that have happened. So it's almost like they forecast all these things that could happen. So if you want a really amazing, fun read, pick up Weird Fantasy, the EC Archives Volume 1. It is great reading. Even though it's 70 years old stories, you will still appreciate them as much today as when they were first created. So that's what I wanted to draw to your attention. Have a look for Weird Fantasy. And thank you, Dark Horse, for all your great reproductions, because you're doing an amazing job. And I know there's a lot more to come. So if you agree with me, please let me know. Hopefully you will keep following me on Shelf Life Book Reviews. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube or my Facebook channels, please do so. And tell your friends, your book-loving friends, about my videos. So until we meet again, stay safe, stay sane, stay in touch, and I will see you at the bookstore. Bye for now.